There we go. NBA live before lock. What is it? 3 p.m. I can't believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern. I bet everybody's scrambling right now. I don't know if you've seen the news, but Doug McDermott ruled out today. If you had him in your lineups, you probably want to go ahead and get them out. You have 58 minutes to do so.
Who does he play for?
McBuckets?
I'm joking.
Yeah, so he is out. It might be Alize Johnson season. No?
Yeah.
No.
What's McDermott play? 15 minutes a night?
Yeah,
around
it shouldn't matter.
I think he's playing. Yeah, he gets a good close to 20 as a matter of fact. Okay. Big stuff.
Yeah,
we actually have a ton of big news though.
We do. Since I've recorded my contenders video, since you've done your strategy show, LeBron out of there. Russell Westbrook seems like he's not playing per Tim McMahon. He's doubtful per the NBA injury report. He's questionable. So I booted Russ out of there. That changes the slate quite a bit. By the way, guys, I'm joined by Dave Loughran. I'm Josh Engleman. This is Live Before Lock, presented by SuperDraft.
SuperDraft. Oh, what a sound.
Like button on your way in the door. 428 concurrent viewers right now. 38, 2 likes, not nearly enough. Hit that thumbs up. I'll badger you with requests for those thumbs up as we move through this.
You'll get so tired of him that you'll just start hitting thumbs up the moment you walk in the door.
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume this chat has been tired of me for ages.
Some of them, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it here. How does LeBron James being out change your outlook on this slate?
It changes a lot. By the way, Goran Dragic being out is also pretty impactful on this slate because Jimmy Butler is already out. So when you're looking at the amount of players that make an impact from a fantasy angle, you've got LeBron, you've got Westbrook, and then you've got Jimmy Butler. We knew he was out. And then Goran Dragic. I'll get to the LeBron thing in just a second. I know we'll get there, but still waiting on some Denver news. That one's a little sketchy because we don't tip off till 8 p.m.
Yeah, I don't know what to make there. I'm tired of playing this Will Murray play, Will Murray not play sort of scenario. I'm over it. I want him to just come back. How long ago? I don't care. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. It feels like it's been a lifetime since his little Instagram snafu. And now it's just...
There was nothing little about that, I assure you.
Fair.
Fella has a Johnson on him. But
yeah.
Listen, that was one of the funniest things ever because he tried to act like he was hacked. Maybe that's why he hasn't played. I don't know. Let me digress here and talk a little bit.
He probably pulled his back out, toting that thing around for months.
Let's talk a little LeBron James situation here. Sure. This game is the late game, but the LeBron James news is pretty big. Listen, I don't know how much of this is just Frank Vogel saying that, okay, he's got some soreness or whatever, and how much of it is just he actually really doesn't need to play. They're 6 games up on the Clippers. They're not losing first place. It's that simple, right? They're locked in. So you're good to go. I think the biggest impact, well, let's start with the big name players in Anthony Davis, right? Because we can get to Kuzma, we can get to Caruso. All of those are probably more impactful than Davis for a couple of reasons. But if you look at Anthony Davis, his ownership right now is very, very low. And I can't help but speculate on 10.9% Anthony Davis, 10.9% on Anthony Davis. He's $10,300 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, Davis weighs in at 10.5. Comparatively speaking, Giannis is 11, Luka's 10.7, Harden is 10.6, which makes it a little bit more difficult with where I'm about to go here. Luka's 11.3 on DraftKings, Giannis 11, Harden 11.7. So Davis isn't that far behind these guys. If this was a scenario where Anthony Davis was like 95, 9,700, and LeBron James was out, I might be willing to roll the dice on Frank Vogel, giving him 35 minutes or so. But my concern is that with LeBron James sitting out, is he going to take it easy on Anthony Davis against Houston? Or if this game is competitive, and I imagine it still will be against a good Rockets team, is Davis going to get big minutes? So let me throw it over to you. if you're projecting Davis, let's just say for 34 minutes, right? Normal Anthony Davis minutes. And you're projecting him to get a ton of run here. Mind you, last game was a blowout. He lost minutes in the fourth, played 39 minutes against Utah, 35 minutes against Toronto in the 4 games they played inside the bubble. He played 35 against the Clippers to open up this restart. So if you're projecting him for normal minutes, should Anthony Davis be less than 11% owned today?
I think it's kind of crazy that his ownership is what it is.
I think it's too high or low?
Way too low.
Okay.
I'm expecting to get a pretty solid amount of him when I run this crunch. I'm probably going to get even more on FanDuel if I had to guess. I don't think there's a scenario where Vogel plays AD lightly. I think that if you're going to let one of these guys get ready, they're probably playing their normal, like, I think he'll have a short leash if it turns into a blowout.
Right.
But I would expect anybody that's actually playing to get their normal allotment unless we hear differently before the game starts.
Then if that's the case, there's no reason he should be 10.9% right now.
I don't know why he is. Look, part of the reason is that we know what happens when Russell Westbrook is out.
Yep.
James Harden goes bonkers and Eric Gordon is out. So he goes like double bonkers, I guess. It's not like AD hasn't shown us that he's willing to carry a team from a DFS perspective when there isn't another star there. Right. Think about some of the times when he was like making that push for the Pelicans to make the playoffs. He turned into like a 12-8 player and was just hanging 70 every day. We know that's in there.
Oh, yeah. Which I think is why both of us are contemplating the ownership here. Because listen, in a vacuum, or not even in a vacuum, let's just say in cash games, in an optimal, if Harden is 10-7 and Davis is 10-3, or Harden's 10-7 on FanDuel and Davis is 10-5, I think Harden's going to be in the optimal, right? Like he's going to be in your cash lineups. But there's this part of you that knows Anthony Davis can rip off 85 fantasy points. Like he can come out here and throw up a monster game. Moreover, you're facing Houston, right? Again, should still be a competitive game. Let me see what the updated total is here. I'm assuming it's still relatively
228 or something, 229. I'm going off the top of my head here.
So 226, open to 228. And the spread, Rockets are only 3-point favorites here. Still, with the adjusted line having LeBron out. I think there's definite merit to looking towards an Anthony Davis against a miniature front court in Houston and thinking if he's getting the minutes at the 5 as well, consider that. If he's getting all these minutes at the 5, you may see a lot of real opportunities. Let me ask you this. On the other side, with Russell Westbrook out, doubtful. He's questionable, but the team doesn't expect him to play, so we're considering him doubtful. Who drives to the rack? Like, how do they get that inside presence? Because you can't have a completely outside game against the Lakers. They have a lot of really good perimeter defenders. Are they going to have Harden take this to the rack way more than he normally would? Because that would make me like him even more.
I don't know what they're going to do. It might be Chris Clemens Day. Who the hell knows? I don't actually think
I remember my last Chris Clemens Day. Ended real shitty.
I'm sure it did.
It was him and who was the center? Isaiah Hartenstein?
Isaiah Hartenstein, yeah.
I got away from him, but I think he played like 1 minute and he was chalk.
He was. I remember it vividly. I'm really intrigued to see what LA does to guard Harden, because if they start blitzing him with double teams the entire time, I mean, you're just going to get a sea of open shots from Austin Rivers, Ben McLemore, Covington, Tucker, all these goons. They might just simply try to take the ball out of James Harden's hands the entire time. That said, he might still shoot 25 free throws and 23s, and it's really hard to avoid something like that. In a cash game, you're playing James Harden, you aren't even batting an eye. That is just what you do. In a GPP, given what's around him, I think I'd rather have Anthony Davis.
Okay, you'd rather have Anthony Davis.
Given the ownership right now, I think I would.
Okay. Listen.
Now we're talking GPPs, obviously.
I don't think it's crazy. By the way, Russell Westbrook averages half almost of Houston's drives per game. almost half. That's crazy. So I
guess that makes sense. Like,
it does.
I mean, when you play 2/3 of the game or more, like
he averages like 22 and they average 49, something crazy. So it's just not. But by the way, welcome to everybody in chat. I'm checking out some of these comments, and people are talking about Tucker and Rivers getting run. They should, Josh. It's a matter of how effective they are. How are you breaking down the rest of this Houston team? We've already hit on Harden and on the other side, Anthony Davis. I'd say the two biggest pieces in terms of salary restrictions. What about the rest of this Rockets team with what Westbrook expected to sit?
Yeah, I don't know how you look at it and think that's the guy that I want. Like, how do you need some exposure throughout the Rockets, and it's not like they're going to suddenly run a 12-man rotation. Like, they're probably only going to run 8 or 9 at best. I just don't see anybody jumping out as this is the guy that it needs to be. I run a pretty tight player pool, all things considered. On DraftKings right now, I have 65 guys in my player, like just available to be crunched. That might not even be the true number. 45 guys available to be crunched. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of those 45 guys just come from the Rockets. Covington, House, Tucker, Green, McLemore, Rivers. I don't really know how I pick between those guys other than just sort of grabbing the guys that get underrepresented. Austin Rivers at the flat minimum on DK is picking up the most ownership. Tucker at 4,200 picking up the least. Not sure I want to get to that one with all that much excitement, but would you rather have Ben McLemore at 31 or Austin Rivers at 3K? I think I'd rather have Ben McLemore.
Ownership
is a disgusting question.
What's up?
What a disgusting question.
It's gross, too. Yeah. And Danwell House. Remember that?
What up, Spags?
Yeah, was it Spags?
No, it was Spags.
Danwell. He's okay. So Houston ownership on DraftKings, on FanDuel right now, 60% Harden, and then you got Covington and House in the 20s, and then nobody else above 10.
Yeah.
On DraftKings, Houston ownership looks a lot different because of those price points you're talking about. Harden's at 55, then McLemore, Rivers, and Covington are all in the 20s. Rivers, Covington, and McLemore, I think I said that. Yeah, are all in the 20s. Yeah. So, it's, to me, in all seriousness, it's a total toss-up because James Harden is piloting. He's piloting this, and whatever scraps turn up, you just hope they can make something of them. The interesting thing about Houston is, watch any Houston Rockets game. A lot of these guys are going to get opportunities because they just move the ball around the perimeter, and they get open. So even against Portland, that game they lost by 7, I think it was. But that's only because they were missing wide open threes down the stretch in the fourth quarter, Josh. It's a matter of when you get the open looks, are you going to be able to convert? It's not, is Rivers better than McLemore? Is McLemore better than Rivers and better than House? Outside of Covington, who can rack up some steals and rebounds better than these guys, the two cheap ones like McLemore and Austin Rivers, it's just who makes the most of pretty similar opportunities. And that's how I view it tonight.
I wish I had a lean. I wish I had something to push forward as my true thought process here. I mean, when I'm done my crunches, I'm going to end up with one of these guys way more than the others.
Yeah,
I just don't know who that's going to be yet.
Listen, neither do I. And I definitely don't mean to be evasive when it comes to that question. So I just went to our projections to see if my line of thinking was off. And I looked up both of their projections right now. And it almost completely confirms what I was saying. Ben McLemore, 19.48. Austin Rivers, 19.88. Yeah. That's why you need randomness, Josh.
For real. You get yourself a little bit of it. Make those guys wiggle just a tad.
For real, though, if you guys are not using randomness, you're going to end up getting more Rivers than McLemore and a bunch more because he's, 0.4 above him?
Yeah. I essentially don't have these guys on FanDuel. That much I could tell you. I just finished that crunch now. No Rivers. I have Harden, obviously. That one is a no-brainer. That appears to be it. There it is. How old Danwell House was hiding there in the middle of a group of small forward names. So on FanDuel, as of right now, Danwell House is the non-James Harden guy that I'm looking at.
Okay. Yeah, him and Covington both getting in the 20s as of now. Nobody else is up there outside of Harden.
So we kind of just did this exercise for the Rockets. If you'd like us to do this exercise for the Lakers, now that LeBron is out, you're going to need to hit that thumbs up button. There's 1,200 of you in here, only 170 likes. That's not good enough. Not
we
nearly
haven't
good
gotten
enough.
to the Heat yet.
We haven't even gotten to the Heat yet. That'll be fire. Get it? Anyway, hit the thumbs up. Let's talk Lakers. No LeBron James. Who is the biggest benefactor that's not named Anthony Davis?
All right. So Anthony Davis.
Are you taking gummies with me tonight, man? Is it Dion Waiters season?
Okay. The biggest beneficiary is almost certainly going to be Kyle Kuzma. Now, I know there's some discussion surrounding Alex Caruso, and he's very cheap. I totally get it. He's garnering quite a bit of ownership right now on both sites. I get it. Actually, the highest owned Laker on both FanDuel and DraftKings, so understandably so. The thing about Kyle Kuzma is there's very little reason to believe Anthony Davis doesn't start at the 5. Now, it's a very small. Oh, you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I'd be surprised.
Do you think most of his minutes come at the 5? Because this is going to determine whether.
Depends on what your definition of most is. You mean more than half? Probably not.
Okay. This is going to determine how much you should like guys like Caruso and Kuzma. Like, we have to break down what we think Frank Vogel's going to do with this rotation against Houston. Does he not care because they're locked in and he's just going to run the starting 5 as normal? It's very possible. Or will he go smaller to match up with Houston? That's a question. I don't know. The Lakers have not looked very good in the bubble yet. They beat Utah, and Utah is just not a particularly good team right now. And I think they beat the Clippers too, but they got smoked by Toronto and OKC. Ultimately, you're going to get the most ownership on Caruso and Kuzma, but I think so much of that is contingent upon what Frank Vogel does. I'm repeating myself here, but like Kyle Kuzma's been playing. He played 32, 28, 25, and 27. Okay. They've been involved in one very close game, one kind of close game, and 2 blowouts. Does Kyle Kuzma cross the 30-minute threshold here because LeBron James is out? Or does Frank Vogel just go small and give more minutes to Caruso and some of these wings?
So I gave Kuzma either 29 or 30 minutes, one of the two.
Okay. So not a big bump.
Nothing too crazy. They could run him into the ground too, honestly. I think Markieff Morris definitely picks up a couple extra minutes. I wouldn't be shocked to see, I don't even know if he's healthy. They could sneak Jared Dudley out there for a rotation. I think they probably just play it pretty neutral. At the very least, I don't think there's any incentive for them to see what it's like to go small against Houston. That seems like something they would want to transition to if they had to play them in the playoffs. It seems easier to just go with your norm. Go with JaVale. Go with Dwight Howard. AD picks up whatever is left, or Markieff Morris picks up whatever is left. I think they just sort of play it out like that because of the lack of importance. And I could be wrong. Ooh, Paul Millsap out.
Oh, okay. Hopefully we'll get some more Nuggets news any moment now. I think
we got he's still Murray's still questionable.
Okay. I think another point there would be, and probably an important one here. You could probably, the Lakers don't really need to get super small because they have such good wing defense. Like, they have good on-ball guard defense. They have good perimeter defense. You look at the type of dudes they can run out there, and there's a lot of guys that are just straight 3-and-D players, right? Specifically KCP and Danny Green. Now, you don't have you don't have Avery Bradley. They would have been really scary. You just let LeBron and Anthony Davis do all the offensive work and, crush them on the perimeter. But they still have a few bodies that are capable of making life a little bit more difficult for Houston, which is why I think this could be a tough game for Houston without an inside presence. And maybe if that's the case, you kind of operate with that line of thinking. I would say Caruso and Kuzma, it makes sense that they're getting more ownership than the rest. But I'm not. What's up?
No, so I just saw my James Harden exposure. Keep going.
Oh, okay. But I'm not confident. I'm not confident that you want to end up with like 50% Kuzma, right? Or 50% Caruso just because LeBron is out. There are a lot of bodies that can be mixed in here. And I'm not so sure how much more opportunity they're going to get. But those two would be the ones that are the most appealing. And just to close this out, the reason for that is simple. Danny Green, it doesn't matter if he's the only guy on the team, right? If he can't pass to himself and take spot up threes. He's just not someone that's ever going to do that. Neither is KCP. JaVale McGee, if JaVale McGee ends up starting at center and benefits from the absence of, actually Dwight Howard's back. JaVale McGee's the same way. He relies on everybody else. So who are the guys that can create their own shot? Probably the question you want to be asking yourself when you're looking at Lakers players today.
You mentioned 50% Kuzma being potentially too much. Is 48% too high? Because that's what just showed up for me, as did 93% James Harden.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so get weird, man.
I would rather have 50% Kuzma than 50% Caruso.
Okay. I don't have Caruso, so.
Okay. Yeah, I would rather have...
Sorry, boss man.
I think ultimately, a lot of Kuzma's fine. They're going to need scoring, right? So I'm just thinking this through in my head right now. They're going to need scoring. You have Anthony Davis. There's no one else really that's going to create much. So Kuzma probably will be that guy. If you had to, if I asked you or you asked me, what do I think the usage rates, the first and second highest usage rates on this team will be today? I'd go Anthony Davis, and then I'd go Kyle Kuzma against the pace-up Rockets team that spreads things out. So, the more I think about it, I think the more appealing Kuzma is. Don't know if I want to overload on Caruso, though.
Yeah, I don't get the appeal for Caruso. I understand the appeal for Caruso. I'm not entirely sure that I'm interested in it. A lot of his best moments happen with LeBron on the floor. So we'll see how that impacts him. Now we have to touch on Miami. This one's a biggie. They've got the Bucks. No Jimmy Butler. No Goran Dragic. I got that right?
You certainly did. Nice work there, Phil.
Look at that. When you're good, you're good. This is where the value is now. Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, Jay Crowder. This is going to be the time where Kelly Olynyk plays 8 minutes. You heard it here first. I'm going to have a lot of Kelly Olynyk. I can't get away from it, but Spo does weird stuff like this. If you told me that Myers Leonard played 30 minutes today, I'd be like, yeah, of course he did. Makes me nervous when Kelly Olynyk's ownership starts creeping up. I don't know how you avoid smashing some of these Miami guys. Tyler Hero in particular on DraftKings, 3,600. I don't think you need much to pay that bad boy off. If he gets north of 30 fantasy points, you're happy. And he's the type of guy that if he gets moving, it could get really good for you.
Yes, very close out the Lakers. I was going to run a query with LeBron off, but the problem is they didn't have Markieff Morris long. They didn't have Dion Waiters long. They didn't have J.R. Smith long. So there's very little you can glean from that. You know what I mean? It makes it very difficult to see who's really benefiting the most in a situation like this. Maybe, like you said, maybe Waiters goes off. Maybe they need a shot creator and they're going to give him enough run. I don't know. But
by the way, Troy Daniels also questionable. The only people that were ruled out are Harris, Barton, and Millsap. Harris and Barton not particularly surprising since they've been out this entire time.
Yeah, the Murray stuff is pretty significant, but we'll continue to wait on that. Dragic has the highest usage rate on the team since this restart began, and he's playing around 28 minutes per night, or per day. Let's just say per game. That's a big loss and an impactful one if we're talking how it affects DFS. So I think the first question, and I'll throw this back to you. The first question, something I've been thinking about is, are you okay and I have an answer to this as well, but are you okay with Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn in the same lineup?
Yes.
Okay. So am I. If it was just one of Goran Dragic or Jimmy Butler out, the answer would be no. But with both of them out, I don't think it's a terrible thing. Another big factor, I mentioned this on the strategy show this morning. You can check that out every day, I think, but Sunday, NBA strategy show. We switch it up. We got MLB strategy show every morning too, 10 and 11 o'clock. Milwaukee is playing at the fastest pace in the league since the restart began. Miami at the slowest pace in the league. Similar numbers earlier in the season before they shut things down. So massive pace up spot for Miami. That definitely benefits shooters, benefits really anyone when you're seeing additional possessions. So I really do like Nunn and I like Tyler Hero. Both of these guys, and you would agree, both of these guys are susceptible to just have dog shit games. Like that's who they are, right? They're good young players, but if they don't shoot well, it's a wrap. And Kendrick Nunn, he just shot 0 for 7 against Toronto, 2 for 6 against Boston. You're going to have these games where there's virtually no peripherals, no auxiliary stats, just a bunch of missed shots. And if that's the case, you live with it. So I would want to make sure that not all of my hero lineups are with Nunn and vice versa, because it's very possible, Josh, that one of these guys takes over and gets real hot tonight. We've seen that a lot when Butler and Dragic are out.
Do you have a preference between the two?
Yeah, I think I like Tyler Hero a little bit more.
Same.
Sorry?
Same.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're a little bit more. I'm projecting him for a little bit more minutes and then a little bit more ball handling responsibility. So Tyler Hero would be the guy. It's close, right? They're pretty similar. But if I had one over the other, it would be Tyler Hero. What are you doing with Andre Iguodala? He played 31 minutes off the bench last game with Butler out.
I was about to do the exact same thing. I was about to do, but not Iguodala. What do you want to do with the Kelly Olynyk chop?
Oh, we'll get there.
I don't think they want to run Iguodala into the ground here. I gave him 26 minutes. He projects as like a viable punt at 3,300 on DraftKings. He's not my favorite guy, but he's certainly in the mix of guys I want to rotate through to pay up more for the 90% Harden, 50% AD that I've got right now. I'm just hoping that I can get the right pieces of, 3 to 4K guys right for those two. But I would have him behind Nunn, behind Hero, slightly behind Jay Crowder. And then you can't compare him to Olynyk right now. Definitely behind Olynyk.
Let's talk about Olynyk then. He's playing really well. He's also been pretty lucky as well. He's got a 65.7% true shooting percentage in this bubble, Josh. What's up?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
I think, am I on a bit of a delay for you?
No, we're talking over each other. So I was just more difficult for me to hear you, unless you are on a delay.
Well, Jordan's saying a little bit. I feel like we're catching each other on weird spots.
Okay, normally,
we normally have the flow,
Usually a fantastic flow. I agree. But that's all right. We're still here. We're making it happen. We got 1,500 people in here just, loving basketball as much as we do. So let's keep it rocking. But no, with Olynyk, he's been lucky. He's also played well. And when Myers Leonard's catching DNP CDs, it only helps when Eric Spoelstra actually favors Kelly Olynyk. It's a miracle. I never thought this would happen. But yeah, Kelly Olynyk, 67.5 or so percent effective field goal percentage, 68.4% true shooting, despite his usage rate being around 21%. So keep in mind, it's not like he's just taking over. If you take Butler off the floor, there's going to be more opportunities there. But the crazy thing I found, Olynyk has a 14% assist rate on the season. He's dishing out dimes at a 26% clip. So it's not sustainable. But if he's going to get the minutes, it doesn't mean I'm not willing to roster him because he is playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah, for a cash game, I don't think it's up for debate. He's probably the first guy you're putting in there, maybe second.
We just got the starting lineup too. Nunn, Robinson, Crowder, Adebayo, and Olynyk.
Okay.
Does that change your opinion on Tyler Hero? And do you like Nunn more now?
No, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, with Tyler Hero being 3,600, I don't really care what's happening. And it's not like you need to avoid the Jimmy Butler usage on either side of that. So I think it all just comes out in the wash at that point. I was waiting for you to be like, it's Myers Leonard, Solomon Hill, weird shit like that. On my last crunch, I came in under the field on Kelly Olynyk. That is not surprising to me. I think he's a good value, a little scary, and just one of the easier ways for me to get slightly different. I still have 27% on DraftKings, so it's not like I'm avoiding him, but I am coming in a little light. I would rather get to some of the other Miami guys right now.
Kelly Olynyk ownership is very high.
41% on the last run that I saw.
On DraftKings or FanDuel?
DraftKings.
He's at 35 now, unless it updated again. And if that's the case, well, it did 5 minutes ago. 39, second highest projected on play. All right, so let me ask you from this angle.
Sure.
If he truly is the second highest owned player on this 5-game slate, hey, would you caution people to, back away a little bit, or do you say, you know what, it's justified? Spoelstra's giving him 30 plus minutes a game, back-to-back games. He's getting enough shots up. He's playing at the 5. He's getting enough opportunities around the basket. He's dishing out dimes, or all of this is going to come crashing down. Which side would you lean? I know it's a tough question.
Jesus. With this team, I would lean nowhere. I'd lean to all of them at the same time somehow. No, I mean, given everything that's happened since the restart, it's not like you expect Kelly Olynyk to come out there and not be a good shooter. He's a good shooter. So if he's getting looks at 3, you expect them to go in on a fairly regular basis. I'd be surprised if he didn't play the same allotment of minutes that he's been seeing so far, barring any foul trouble. So I get the ownership. I think he's safe-ish, as safe as you can be, because I don't expect them to just yank him back out of this right now.
Me neither.
The only way that they do that, and I think that it might be a little bit different during the regular season than it is today, is that Kelly Olynyk doesn't exactly fit the play against Milwaukee mold, where you can give extra minutes to Jay Crowder, Iguodala, Derek Jones Jr., a lot more switchable than Kelly Olynyk. If they were actually trying to compete with Milwaukee, it wouldn't shock me if Kelly Olynyk got one run, was a -11, and then never saw the floor again. I don't think it matters today.
It doesn't. And by the way, Brook Lopez is in. So,
okay.
I mentioned that because I was actually hoping it would be Robin Lopez, because then you'd be putting Olynyk closer to the basket for sure, and giving him more opportunities to block shots and grab rebounds. Maybe that's minor, but when it comes to centers, Josh, I always prefer them, going up against some type of stay-at-home center, because it just puts you in better position. Yeah,
you can kind of, you have a better path to projecting what you think is going to happen.
Exactly, just more opportunity. Yeah.
Because if you've got someone else that can step out regularly, like, you never know what that defensive matchup will actually look like and where that guy is actually going to end up.
Do you think Crowder needs to be discussed?
Jay Crowder has been a member of the contenders all day today.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. As of right now, Jay Crowder is 12th overall. Now that we opened up some of that Miami value, he's tumbled a little bit, but 4,400 on DK, 4K on DraftKings. Nope, flip that. 4,400 on DK, 4K on FanDuel. I think you have to take a look at it. I'd be surprised if he's not on the floor a lot, given they play the Bucks, and he's just kind of like perfectly made for that kind of game. He is Jay Crowder, so be aware that sometimes this is going to look real ugly, including his shot. I'm going to take a bet on the minutes, especially now with Dragic out. They got to fill 70 minutes, 70. Yeah, we'll call it 70. Yeah. Like, he's just going to be out there for 28 to 32 minutes by default. He works with every possible lineup. It's just really hard to get away from someone that, like, his floor is so high.
Unless somebody goes off, I think Oh, and by the way, a couple things from chat. Let me just point these out. There's a site that always lists Olynyk as the starting five, and I just completely forgot about Adebayo. So whoever mentioned that in chat, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if it will though. You think it'll be Olynyk on Giannis? Because
what are you talking about?
So there's no way that Olynyk guards Giannis today.
No, are people saying that that's going to happen?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Look, just because the starting lineup comes out, just because the starting lineup comes out and shows Kelly Olynyk at the 4 and Giannis at the 4, that doesn't mean that they line up next to each other like, I'm going to get you.
Right, no. Kawhi Leonard guards point guards. You know,
Bam Adebayo is guarding Giannis as much as possible here.
Yeah, if that was the case, Kelly Olynyk, for anyone wondering, is a very bad defender. He is. If you don't have Bam on him, and Bam is versatile enough, it's going to get really, really ugly. Now, Nico says that they're going to play zone. Might be right. I know that all too well watching the 76ers get shit on by Miami's zone defense. So also very possible. So we'll see that as well. And then one more question, Josh. Where was this? If
Giannis knew that Kelly Olynyk was going to guard him, he would have to go change his jersey.
Yeah. And his pants, if you know what I mean.
That's where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Is Hero, Nunn, and Olynyk too much in one lineup? Asks Vincent.
No. Those are probably like the 3 ones that I would want out of the game. I think Hero and I think all 3 of them have low enough price tags that as a collective, it's not a huge deal. If you think Hero, Nunn, and Olynyk all get there, I would definitely want someone from Milwaukee that would be involved in their closing lineup, whether that's Middleton or Giannis or who knows who's going to be in their closing lineup at this point. I would want another piece of the opposite side of the game because I would just assume that Nunn, Hero, and Olynyk are then also playing 30 minutes together. And if that's the case, it's because it's close.
It's going to be tough for all 3 of them to get there. I know it's a pace-up spot, but it feels real tough for all 3 of them to get there. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with like one of Hero and Olynyk, one of Nunn and Hero and Olynyk. Maybe I'm wrong.
38 and 34 is 72, and then Hero is 32. So you need 104 points between the 3 of 104 fantasy points between the 3 of them. Just because of their salaries, I don't like that. Doesn't seem crazy to me.
I guess it's not. Yeah, like 34 per player.
Yeah, if they all hung 35 apiece, you're in really good shape.
Oh man, that's tough. Look, I'd much rather do that than run out like Ben McLemore, Austin Rivers, and Danuel House.
Yes, 100%.
By the way, we know way better on the Heat. We know it's Danuel House, by the way. What'd you say?
You would, the Heat value that you're getting here is so much better than the rest of the value on the Rockets. At least on paper.
And while Milwaukee has a stout defense, super fast pace. Again, it's really important to consider that. If it's always funny, you look at the amount of 3-pointers Milwaukee allows, and it's the most in the league, or at least it was. And they allow one of the lowest 3-point percentages in the league. They just allow so many shots and opportunities. So all in all, take your shots. Yeah. Duncan Robinson, and we're going to get to your questions now. Josh, Duncan Robinson, just anyone asking if we have any interest in him.
No, he's the only one that actually has like a real price. He's $5K on DK. Exactly. That's just you need north of 40 from Duncan Robinson. I mean, he can shoot the lights out, sure, but like you're pricing yourself. If Iguodala is not going to get any ownership at 3,300, there's just no reason to like pay up for Duncan Robinson.
Right, but even Tyler Hero and Nunn at 36 and 4,100, take the discount on 2 other guys that can heat up from beyond the arc as well.
Yeah, without question. Let's see, we got 18 minutes yet until lock. Fun stuff. 1,650 people in here. Also fun. But we're turning this show off completely. We're not even finishing this. We're getting out of here 18 minutes early. If that 350 like number doesn't turn into 500 immediately, I'm going on hunger strike. I'm not going on a hunger strike. That would be ridiculous. I ate pizza bites this past weekend when the wife was out of town.
Oh, nice.
Felt good. Getting back on the horse.
Well, by the way, short on time, but in all seriousness, you want to talk about thumbs up. Thumbs up this if you wanted to see Josh, and this is happening, eat 4.5 pounds of steak?
I think it was just 4. Well, we can negotiate.
4 pounds of steak, no bone, during one strategy show.
It would be funnier if I had to eat 4 pounds of steak and the bone. Anyway.
Right. What else do we need to hit? Should we take some questions? You're running this show. Should we take some questions or should we hit on some other spots? Or should we take some questions and then hit on some other spots?
Well, let's do one quick thing before we keep moving on. What do you like the most on this slate? Just generally speaking, is there anything that stands out to you now that we're a little bit closer to lock? Some guys that we haven't talked about yet that are sort of a core of the Laffy lineup today.
A couple of things. I mentioned earlier that Doncic's the player tracking stuff is nuts right now, right? He's averaging 36 drives per game or 35 drives per game. Insanity, even with the overtime, right? That's nuts. 123 touches per game. It is him and it is Porzingis doing all of the heavy lift, doing all of the lifting for that matter. Yeah. So in a case like that, opportunity, volume, minutes, they're gold in fantasy basketball. Consider the fact that both of these guys are uber talented. That only helps. So I'm interested there. And I also think with all of this news coming out, Oladipo's ownership is going to keep dropping. Everyone's kind of scared off by him, but he played 27 minutes through the first 3 quarters of last game, meaning that game was getting out of hand. Orlando started to make some inroads. But McMillan, you could tell, was like, all right, well, I don't need to. He was going to play him 28 to 32, only played him 27 because he didn't need him to come back. If this game's close, I'm giving Oladipo 33 minutes or so at 5,500. I just think it makes too much sense there. He's one guy to me that I actually think should be a little bit higher owned, but isn't, because you're starting to get all this value with Dragic out, with LeBron out, with Westbrook doubtful to play. A very interesting one I'd keep in mind because it's only a matter of time before Depot rips off 35 real points.
That is not what I was expecting you to say. I'm intrigued by it. I don't have any. 17.5% ownership on the last run that I saw, 5,500. He scares me. He's not a guy that I don't want to have. Like,
he's down to 16 grand scheme of things. Now, but I think
speaking of guys I don't have. I don't have Luka.
We got 15 minutes to lock. Yeah,
we got 15 minutes. All right, I'm going to sit on these ownerships for right now. I like where I'm at. So let me refresh this and save, and then I got FanDuel already uploaded. Then I could start talking a little bit about exposures, and then maybe hit on some questions. Got a lot of Kendrick Nunn.
Matt asks if you would pay 8,800 on FanDuel to put God in your lineup. I'm assuming he's considering TJ Warren as God. My answer to that would be a resounding no. The guy's been fantastic, but if you go back to the morning show, you'll see how unbelievably unsustainable it actually is. 77% true shooting. Crazy numbers. He's been awesome, but he's not that type of block artist. He's not going to get those type of steals and rebounds. He's more expensive than Kawhi Leonard on FanDuel, Josh. He's more expensive than most players, and only $100 less than Nikola Jokic. That's my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I like TJ Warren and all. I don't need to pay that kind of freight for him. That's just. Let me just make sure I don't have him before somebody's like, "Hey man, I saw you with 44% TJ Warren." I have 4% on DraftKings. I have 6% on FanDuel. To be fair, that Kawhi guy that's slightly underneath him in price, I have 80% of. So,
do you really?
I do.
Wow. We had a question about Paul George going unowned. Any interest there?
A little bit. I'm a little over the field. 7,800 on DK. I have 23% right now. On FanDuel, he's 7,700. I have 28% there as well. It's just a little harder for me on FanDuel. I have 77% James Harden. I mean, the public's at 59. That'll probably creep up as well. So there's a limit to the amount of additional shooting guards I can get. Like I have 9% Luka. That's scaring me a lot, but I can't get away from James Harden in the spot.
Yeah, I know we talked about Anthony Davis. This is one of those interesting slates where, if you're willing to take some chances, Luka's another one of those guys that coming in with very low ownership because of James Harden. What's he at right now? 18%. And for Luka, I consider that very low, given the fact that he's playing 40 minutes a game almost in regulation. And I just rattled off those numbers. So Luka's just another one of those players that if you end up getting 25%, or you're willing to get some additional Luka Doncic, it, to me, even in a more difficult matchup, is worth looking at. He's just been unbelievably good.
All right, guys, 12 minutes to go until lock. Premium Slack, if you want to get some questions in, we're happy to take a look. YouTube chat, if you want to get some questions in, we're happy to take a look. Twitch stream or Periscope, if you want to get some questions in, we're not going to see them. I'm sorry. But if you want to get into a place where we can, sign up at Awesemo.com using the promo code NHL is back. One big word. That expires tomorrow. Get your NHL package half off. Best I could do right now.
That's cool. We also have an amazing fantasy football package that we just released. And if you sign up for it, it's like $29.99. I think you get a $35. You get $35 in credit to another site, Josh. So to an actual fantasy football site where you can play and win real money. So I would recommend checking that out. And I don't know.
I think it's our pinned tweet right now. You get all sorts of stuff. Alex's projections, a sleeper tool, additional content, videos and written content from the rest of the staff at Awesemo.com. And the key piece of all of this, the draft wingman. Updates as you're drafting. It will let you know if there's some holes in your lineup. It helps you figure out where the value is as the draft is happening, which is very important. It's one thing when you have those values before you start, but as people, if there's a run on running backs that you don't normally expect, that changes the value of everybody else in the draft pool moving forward. Draft Wingman will help you out there. And you get a $35 credit at FFPC.
And FFPC is a great site, so check it out. Where are you at on the centers in Portland and Denver? Nurkic has been unreal, and Nikola Jokic just coming back into this restart with a lot of usage, a ton of touches per game, really dictating the offense. If Jamal Murray's out, you're going to see even more of that. It's a very interesting matchup between the Blazers and the Denver Nuggets.
It is a very interesting matchup. I do not have Nurk. 9,100 on FanDuel, 8,900. Look, I get that he can fill up that stat sheet. I don't want to pay the going rate just yet. It makes me a little nervous in terms of good. Oh, he is so good.
He's really good.
Can we stop for a second and talk about how the Denver Nuggets had him and Jokic?
I know.
And they traded him from Plumlee.
Unbelievable.
And gave a first up with it. Terrible trade.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been the worst idea to trade him as long as they got something incredible back for him, right? Because having Jokic and Nurkic,
another center wasn't the answer.
No, having Nurkic and Jokic is an untenable solution long term. But listen, he's been in foul trouble and he's still playing big minutes. I put him around 33 minutes today, assuming he stays out of foul trouble. Nurkic is another one of those guys where ultimately he's you mentioned it's really not easy to play him. And I hate being the guy that's like, oh, good tournament play, because anybody can say that. Anyone could be like, oh, he's low on good tournament play. So then you look good and you look smart when you hit on a guy because you said everyone was a good tournament play. But I do think Nurkic is one of those players only because he has been so active in all facets of the game, offense and defense. Whenever I know somebody that can go out and give you 15 points and 19 rebounds and 4 blocks and 3 steals and also is a much better passer than he's given credit for, I like that. But overall, I would pay a little bit more for Nikola Jokic today.
Same. I even have like a bit of a fade going on onto Jokic as well. I have 8% on FanDuel. I have 12 on DK. Yeah, I mean, circling back to Nurkic, I have the target score for him today at 62 fantasy points.
Wow.
That's fine. Like, this dude goes out there, puts 20, 10, 5, 5, and 5 up like a goon. It's incredible. However, I don't expect him to get 62 fantasy points all that regularly. So no. I just can't go that way.
Center's crazy deep. Jokic, Nurkic, Porzingis, also a great play. Adebayo with no Dragic and no Butler. DeAndre Ayton getting a ton of ownership. That is just in the mid-range and like lower high range. There is so much at center today. It's kind of hard to go wrong in that spot if you're choosing between those players.
Yeah, right now I have 53% of anybody that has center eligibility. 53% is going to AD, and then I've just got this crop of 10 to 20 guys: Ayton, Porzingis, Miles Turner, Zach Collins, Olynyk, and Jokic.
How much Davis and Harden lineups are you getting?
I don't know.
I'm assuming. Well, it has to be a lot. It's got. You have. If you have.
I have 87% Harden and 53% AD. So I don't know, probably
like 35%.
Yeah, 40%, something like that. So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah. And then on FanDuel, it's basically 3 centers for me: Ayton, Turner, and Kelly Olynyk.
Michael asks, who do you prefer, Luka or Porzingis? I almost want to say Porzingis because it's not going to be easy to get Luka and Harden in the same. I guess it's actually not that. Now that I think about it, it's not that difficult to get both of them in the same lineup with all the value that we have. It's
really easy to get 2 of any of the pay-ups.
How cheap do you want to go with the rest of your lineups?
So I have more Porzingis than I do Luka on both sites.
Okay.
That's essentially because Harden's winning by default. I've got him projected for 65.9 fantasy points. Alex has him at 66.6. And my player pool, Alex and I are separated by 5 fantasy points total. So it's not like we're on some sort of different scale or anything along those lines. And then I have Harden, and then I think Anthony Davis is the second best pay-up option. So I'm pinched on Giannis, and I'm pinched on Luka.
Okay. Another reason I like Oladipo on DraftKings is he has small forward eligibility, and if you are playing 2 guys above 10K, he fits in pretty nicely there, and then allows you to get one more 7 or another 7 and a 6K guy if you're throwing Harrow and Olynyk in that lineup as well.
People are wondering if I have Bam. I do not have much Bam at all.
Okay. What about Ayton?
Ayton on FanDuel, yes, he's my most exposed center. On DraftKings, God, stupid no positions on DraftKings is the worst. Like, obviously, I know that they do, but it's really clean. It's really clean on FanDuel. There's no clean way to do that. I'm not seeing them anywhere. There we go. 25% Ayton on DraftKings, so a bit under the field. Whoa, 5 minutes ago. Do I want to try to fix this? I probably do, huh? I have a little bit too much Marcus Morris right now.
I'm not loving what I come up with these Doncic Harden lineups, to be honest with you. You're going to have to get real cheap pretty much everywhere else outside of 1 or 2 positions. It's
a lot.
Complete stars of scrubs.
It really is.
It all comes down to how comfortable are you going to be with 3 of Austin Rivers, Ben McLemore, Tyler Hero, who else? Alex
Kendrick Nunn, Jay Crowder. I mean, every Iguodala. All these garbage team. Jeremy Grant. I don't know what his price is off the top of my head, but there's another one where his minutes should be relatively safe now.
I guess it's not crazy, but man, relying on those guys to get it done is going to be tough. I think getting away from it is pretty sensible here. We're doing live before lock, so I can't even do anything. But I would the idea, and I did run some crunches earlier, Josh. I actually ended up with a lot of lineups where it was just one of Doncic or one of Harden, and then a really nice balance with some 8K guys, some 7K guys mixed in as well. And I really don't hate that. Got a good amount of Jokic, a good amount of Ayton. Good amount of Oladipo, like I said. Even got some Dame mixed in there. So, yeah, I'm pretty spread out here on this crunch. But I get a lot of those guys between the 7 and 9K range with Harden or with Doncic. If you play both of them, good luck.
So it's lock in 3 minutes. There's not really anything that we can do to change up the game at this point. So which game are you watching right now? Bucks Heat or Suns Pacers?
That's a great question because I have of the lineups I did build and submit. I have a lot of both of those. A lot from Miami, and I have a decent amount from Indy and Phoenix as well. Okay. I'm probably throwing on Indy because the Flyers are also on, by the way, and they play the Capitals. So I'm going down the basement with the 2 TV setup and going to make things happen. But I want to see Oladipo. I think that game's coming where he breaks out.
I hope so because I want him to be good. I'm not entirely sure that he's ever good again.
Yeah, he will be. He'll be all right. Don't worry. He'll be okay.
Look, I'd like to be wrong. I'm just not sure that I am.
All right. Who are the highest scoring players on this slate? Top 5 today. You got to go Harden first, right?
Yeah. If you ask that question and anyone gives you an answer that isn't James Harden, you should ignore their DFS advice moving forward. That doesn't mean that he is the highest scorer. He's not even really. Should project. He has to be the highest person of any individual.
Correct.
If you pick someone other than that, you're now the highest person because that's not feasible. Harden, Giannis, Luka, AD, and Jokic are my top 5 right now.
Okay.
Alex, this might have changed. Harden, Luka, Giannis, AD, Jokic was Alex's. He had Dame 2 points behind that. I had Kawhi ahead of Dame.
Yeah, I like it.
We got 530 likes, and there's still 1,400 people here. It's slowly slithering away as we are a minute to go from lock. If you're one of the people that haven't hit the thumbs up yet, I think that we just had an outstanding live before lock. So a reward is a thumb click. That's all you got to do. How easy is that? It's so simple. I appreciate you guys, though. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. We've got Jason Floyd and Pete the Heat Rogers coming up at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, talking some MMA. We got a UFC card this week. We've got a big UFC card coming up next weekend, so make sure you're listening for that bad boy. I can't wait for next week's card. Whew. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic 3.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to my buddy's house to watch that one. Can't wait for it either.
Doesn't get much better than that, man. That is a monstrous fight in the heavyweight division.
Yeah,
if Stipe wins,
heavyweight fights.
Who does the winner fight? Does Daniel Cormier retire if he wins? Does he fight Ngannou? Does Stipe fight Ngannou again? Does John Jones fight one of these guys?
I don't know, but I just want Ngannou to fight somebody.
I don't want to see a murder. Although, hey, look, Stipe beat him. Stipe beat him. 25 minutes. Took everything he had.
How long ago?
2 years.
Has Ngannou only gotten better?
Yes, he's only gotten better. However, it's not as if he's like some different fighter.
Okay.
He's just going out there with the goal of, if I hit you with this, you can't continue.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good strategy when you hit like you have fists made out of cinder blocks.
Yeah, he's the scariest person I've seen since like prime Mike Tyson.
Yeah. And
Deontay Wilder is also pretty terrifying as well.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like people are like, no, man, it's Tyson. Mike Tyson didn't look like Francis Ngannou. Like Tyson's a fire hydrant. Francis Ngannou is an extended fire hydrant. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has to cut to 265. Whew. Scary, man. Scary. Look, if you're asking me, I'm walking into my house and I got to fight through one of those guys. I desperately want Mike Tyson to be the guy on the other side of the door instead of Francis Ngannou.
I definitely want someone to tell me that they're in there so I never go inside. That's what I want.
Yeah, I want Tyson. I'm going to be like, look, man, I stole your pigeons. You don't want this. You don't want this. Guys, good luck tonight in your NBA contest. Good luck in your MLB contest. MLB Live Before Lock coming up in an hour. Chris Spags and the boss man, Alex Baker, taking you up till MLB Lock. We appreciate you being here for NBA Lock. Starting to hear that music in my ear, which means we're going to get the hell out of here, and I'm going to go pick up my dog at doggy daycare. Thanks for joining us. Awesome.
I had a cheesesteak pizza from Domino's today. Man, I'm telling you, everything for Domino's is bad except for that. Try it sometime. Thank me later. Chat knows what's up. Chat knows what's up. I'll get some people on my side on this one.
Later.